Miss Priyanka Reddy, known career counselor at Hyderabad Public School.
I have been working in this industry close to 12 years. Popular countries still do remain United States, UK. Singapore is really popular one primarily because of the distance. I think engineering still ranks on the top, closely followed by pure science major.
There's a famous myth among Indian students that international curriculum is superior than national curriculum.
If you want to be considered for merit-based scholarships, you need to apply early. Kids are very relaxed in that manner. I've got answers as weird as I've lost it.
To all my dear listeners out there, good evening. I am Anne Gracious, your host for today, representing ICAE. Welcome to the second episode of our podcast, Thursday series, called Beyond Borders Higher Ed Edition. Today, we are thrilled to discuss a critical aspect of studying abroad, finding the right opportunities. That by itself is a challenge, but yes, we are here to simplify it for you. Our topic today is opportunities for Indian students beyond borders. We have a very special guest with us today, Miss Priyanka Reddy, who is a known career counselor at Hyderabad Public School. So Hyderabad Public School is one of the best schools of the city, and it offers multi-curriculum to its students. And yes, a very well-known name in the career counseling industry is Priyanka Reddy, and she is here to help you simplify your career, I would say, exploring journey, finding opportunities, and a lot more. So, Priyanka, welcome again. And we are excited to have you with us today to shed light on this important topic. Without further ado, let's dive in. Miss Priyanka, could you tell us a bit about your background and your role as a career counselor at Hyderabad Public School?
So, hi Anne, and hi to all our listeners, viewers over here, and a very good evening. Thank you for having me on your podcast. So, I work at the Hyderabad Public School, Begumpet, as their career counselor. And education wise, I've done my triple major in sciences. And along with that, I also hold a diploma certification from UCLA Extension and IE University, Spain, specifically in the field of career counseling. So that's a bit about the educational background. In terms of work experience and the kind of students I've closely worked with, I have been working in this industry, and my overall experience is close to 12 years, wherein I specifically cater to students at the undergraduate level. A bit about the kind of things that I do here in school is one, obviously, have individual or group counseling sessions with students, clear their queries, their doubts in terms of either college applications, shortlisting of programs, which kind of universities would be good. If they're confused in terms of should we apply internationally or India, give them, viewpoints or a kind of checklist that, if you think these are more important and these are the kind of countries you should be considering. Apart from that, I also work closely on organizing workshops for students. These can be across various topics related to essay writing or profile building activities. And not only for students, but also do activities for the staff in terms of helping them to write effective recommendation letters, how they can identify students' interests. And alongside students and teachers, I also work closely with parents, wherein either I'm conducting informational sessions for them or organizing sessions for them to understand about the various choices that are there today, which weren't existing earlier, and also address parental concern in terms of how they can find a match between the child's interests and the child's expectation versus what they also want for their child. So a bunch of things that I keep doing around.
That's amazing because it's a very interesting journey where you're helping students from their career exploration, from their profile building, building up their entire destination preferences, and then helping them with their application bed, prepping the teachers, prepping the parents and the students. A lot is there on your hat. Yes. But one thing that I would like to also understand is we have heard from a lot of other counselors and from students as well. And even when I was a counselor back before COVID, and now there's a lot of difference in the country preferences that students are making. And we see that there is a dip from USA being the only popular choice. And now where students are choosing Southeast Asian countries and more to explore, they're also exploring Germany, Finland, and a lot of new destinations. And as Indian students, it's like a new jump that they're taking in. And is it the same process for them? And as a counselor, what do you think has been the new trend for your school specifically, or in Hyderabad as a city? Which countries are currently the most popular ones among the Indian students now? And why do you think it is?
So I think traditionally, at least down south, the popular countries still do remain the United States, UK, Canada to an extent,
Okay.
Singapore because of its proximity. Australia is picking up. So I wouldn't say it's exactly an emerging country. At the same time, I won't say it's like a popular choice, but it's somewhere in between that. And the reasons, of course, so students who are looking at a more liberal focused education, they're not 100% sure of their major and they want to experiment or explore, then US is the kind of country they look at and the choices available over there. Along with that, also the kind of facilities offered to students in the STEM field and the research opportunities available. So US is one of the popular choice. And if I look at it in terms of UK, then UK, I see a lot of the students who typically are very focused in terms of academics because UK
Mhm.
offers a lot of specialized education. You don't have the option of a liberal degree over there, or you don't have something wherein you can explore a course for a year and choose your elective or major in the second year. You directly specialize in UK.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
is one. And again, I also do see students who, I won't say like a lot of financial constraint, but who want to finish studying a little quicker because UK
Hmm.
offers an option for 3 years of undergraduate degree as
Yeah.
well. So there are students who also choose UK. Singapore is really popular one. It's primarily because of the distance.
Hmm.
But if you see getting into the top universities over there, like NUS, NTU, SIT, it's very
Okay.
competitive, including SMU for that matter. And then Canada is like something which fits all. You have the option of liberal arts, you have the option of
Yeah.
co-op programs, internships, post-study work permit, economical. So Canada is like something which I would say is a mix of all the other countries.
That's interesting. And also to add to the fact, one known popular fact about Hyderabad or Telangana in general is that, a lot of engineering students who go to the US, right? It's engineering, which is at the peak, and it's computer science, AI, robotics, and most of it. Is it still the trend? And, or they have now gone towards, like you said, liberal arts and more? Have they started exploring it? Or when you look at the percentage, do you still feel engineering is on the top for Telangana?
Yeah, I think engineering still ranks on the top, closely followed by either a pure science major like a BSc biology or mathematics or chemistry. Otherwise, it moves into the arts and humanities, which is either related to psychology, economics, business,
Hmm.
or students are also looking at design based programs. But
Okay.
engineering is definitely number one.
Okay. I have two questions in mind, but I will be putting it together. That is, there are few primary opportunities that are available to Indian students specifically when they think of studying abroad. And
Right.
how do they really differ from other countries or other educational systems? Like there are students in the Middle East who are Indian origin and they are studying Indian curriculum, but they might be Middle East passport holders, right, of the MENA region. Like, would the opportunities change, and how is it like? What is your perspective on this?
So I think, and that, when you look outside of your country, so
Hmm.
whether you are in the Middle East, if you're looking to apply to universities outside of that, or similarly for students in India who look to apply outside, the opportunities will always look different. It can be in any scope. Even if I have to
Hmm.
say, for example, compare Indian universities, the private ones also nowadays are having a lot of research opportunities. But if you compare the same thing with an international university, they're double, in
Yeah.
number or in quantity or the kind of exposure, it's always going to be more. So that way the kind of exposure you have primarily is something which is very unique because you're stepping outside of your country, your comfort zone.
Comfort
Apart from
zone.
that,
Yeah.
internship opportunities, now this is something I can say Indian universities have it at a bare minimum. Not everyone integrates it into the degree of the undergrad.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
whereas if you look abroad, you have like a semester abroad, or you have an internship opportunity, or you have a co-op program.
Yeah.
UK offers a 1 year work in the industry option to make it 4 years. So these are opportunities you might not find, say, in the Middle East universities, or maybe even here in India, right? So I think that is something which is unique, and also the kind of global perspectives that you get. So if you
Mm-hmm.
look in India, you might have very few international students who come in here. I've seen that we do have students who come in from Africa, etc. But when you look to apply abroad, you not only have international students only of the US or China or India, but you have kids who come in from Korea, you have kids who come in from Japan, like multiple parts of the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
When you actually see and understand how things work at their end, it gives you like another kind of a mindset when you want to do something of your own. For example, if there's a kid who wants to do business, interacting with students from different mindsets help them to also think differently. So I think those kind
True.
of opportunities are something which would be helpful and valuable for students.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And along with it, I feel now that a lot of students are coming in into India from different nationalities because their parents are delegates or having foreign based startups over here and a lot more. Like there's a lot of opportunities that has opened, I would say, cross culturally, cross transnationally also, across different borders. And that has shaped new image to our education system in India because just like the Hyderabad Public School that you are a part of at the moment is offering multi-curriculums. There are a lot of schools now in India who are offering multi-curriculums, right? And some have just solely sticked towards offering international, and while some continue with the traditional Indian curriculum. But yes, there's a famous myth among Indian students and among Indian parents as well that international curriculum is superior than national curriculum. What's your personal take on it as a counselor? And do you think after that, studying in a different continent or a different country would shape a student's career and future prospects also in a very different way? And does their curriculum play a role in it?
I think, and that every country's education system is unique to their own.
Yeah.
And another thing is that not everyone, irrespective of where they are, can afford education probably outside of their country, right?
Yep.
For those who are, probably the mindset is that, yeah, it's really good compared to your home country, if I have to be
Mm-hmm.
generic in that sense. But
Yes.
I also think that it really depends on the mindset of a child, right? You might be going to the best of universities, you might be getting the best of exposure, but if you don't make use of it, if you don't attend your classes regularly, you don't complete your curriculum on time, how does it matter if you are studying at an Ivy League or any other university? Because
True.
maybe a kid who's studying in India, for that matter, or their home country, is still doing academically better than you, might have better job prospects because they've completed their education on time, they've scored a higher GPA, probably good in public speaking skills, etc. As
Mm-hmm.
opposed to someone who's able to afford the education, but you're not doing anything there. You are just in your own shell, or you maybe don't attend classes, you're barely submitting your assignments on time, you're just barely passing through your degree. I don't think that should be the mindset because we can afford it, so it is superior. But it has a lot of other things as well, which students should typically consider in terms of like taking out the time to network with your community, inquire about the alumni system,
Yeah.
be more focused for the reason you've gone there. As
Mm-hmm.
youngsters, students would want to party or maybe hang out with their friends, go out for a movie. That's all fair. I mean, that's the age to do
Yes.
it. And if you don't do
Yes.
it now, when will you do it? But I think everything should be in a moderate balance, wherein you are studying and getting done with the academic rigor, but you also have a life outside of it. So I think that's very important, and not just having to boast that, oh, my child studies here or there. I don't think that's the goal, right? It's the goal to get the
Yeah.
certificate and come back, or have a certificate which says you've passed also.
Now that you have very well touched the social bit of a student who is studying abroad and what's the mindset of a parent who is staying here and telling it across to their colleagues or their peers that, my son or my daughter is studying at an Ivy League or a different university based overseas. How do you think an Indian student who is studying abroad would shape their academic and personal space in those 3 years, in the 4 years? How is it going to shape them as an individual, like both academically, personally, socially? We already know, you already touched base on it, like economically, like how is it going to touch base from the time they have left the country and by the time they're coming back? What do you think is the percentage of involvement that you're going to see in a student, like when you look back as a counselor? What's the rate of growth that you're going to see?
Obviously, there's going to be development in terms of the kind of thinking. Your thinking levels might mature over a
Mm-hmm.
period of time. The kind of network, again, your classmates, your peers, they also do turn back to supplementing things. If you're looking to set up your own business, you want to get into entrepreneurship, the network of people or the legacy of the university that you carry with you will definitely make a lot of impact. Apart from that, also the ability to deal with people from different backgrounds, because when you study internationally, you are not just with your comfort zone, but you also have people from different academic backgrounds, financial backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds. So you also learn to deal with people of different levels, because everyone is not the same. You need to handle one person differently versus another. So these are the kind of social skills which you learn. Academically, like the name of the university, the brand that it gets along with it, the kind of
Yeah.
alumni networking support. So I think it's pretty much a combination of everything, and what you eventually do with all the things that you have, how you best make use of it.
Some of the major challenges that Indian students face when applying to foreign universities is the region, the destination. They just shortlist the country that they're interested to. They don't look at other factors like the climate, the ethnicity ratio over there, and a lot more. And when I was a counselor, I've also found students who said that my uncle stays in Canada, so I need to go to Canada. And then that particular student went to Canada, and within the first semester itself couldn't bear the cold, the winters of Canada, and chose to drop and come back. What do you think are the common challenges that you have faced, your students coming in telling you when they are applying to foreign universities during the application or post application once they are in the semester over there? What are the main challenges that you think an Indian student goes through?
Doing it from where you just stopped, right? I think research is something that students lack. Like you rightly said, it's either the mindset that, oh, my friend is applying here, so I will apply
Yeah.
here. That's a common thing. Apart from
Yeah.
that, family, because I have family, so I will just apply here. I'm not going to look at anything else. What they fail to research about is that, is the university known for the particular major that they're looking at? Next thing they don't look at is the kind of class sizes. Maybe the student would thrive in a smaller class size with more personalized attention, but they don't look at factors like that. They end up applying to universities where it's a huge class size and they're just lost in the whole crowd. So those kind of things, I think, is something that they don't research adequately. They just blindly, oh, okay, US is popular, so I'm going to the US. But okay, it's popular. What kind of majors are the universities popular for? Are you applying for the right kind of program at the institution? So these kind of things, I think students need to do their homework. I think I find that students don't look at the financial part of it. So they only think about it from the tuition fee perspective. They just say that, oh, okay, if the fees is like $50,000, so they're just calculating that, but they don't actually end up looking at the living expense,
Living expenses.
accommodation, utilities, electricity, transport,
Yes.
internet, phone, health insurance. All these are neglected. So when you add these all, which might look minor in itself, but it also substitutes to a bigger component in the entire fee. So that's
Absolutely.
something that students don't look at. They apply, and then they'll be like, oh, the fees is this much. I just accounted for a tuition. So that is something I think they don't even research on the kind of scholarships. Either they think that scholarships are just there, we'll just get it, it's there for us, or they're not aware that there are scholarships which they can apply for to reduce the tuition fee and maybe use that money into putting into their living expense. So I think they don't look at that. So that's another challenge, that they don't plan it well in advance. Another thing that I commonly see is not preparing for standardized tests. They are just not aware that, oh, I need to give the SATs. Like,
Is
yes,
it popularly because a lot of universities have gone test blind post
test
COVID?
line, test
And
optional.
I think that has somewhere down the line changed the attitude of students that's not
Yeah,
required. And the ones
exactly.
who are doing it already have a test optional or a test blind university already in their applying list or in the shortlisted list. So they're like,
Correct.
we would definitely get in
Yeah,
there, if not here.
yeah.
So
Or they're just getting up too late. They're like,
true.
yeah, I've entered 12th. Yeah, I think I'll be applying to US. So if I ask them, so have you appeared for the SAT at least like one attempt? They're like, no, no, we'll be giving it in August or October. I'm like,
Hmm.
when will you give it? When will you get the scores? Apply, submit. There's a whole chain. And if you want to be considered for merit-based scholarships, you need to apply early. You need to apply in
True.
EAs, EDs in the case of US universities, or even any university for that matter, right?
Yeah.
To be
Yeah.
eligible for funding or help, you need to. So I think that planning, students sometimes get up really late. If I have to just put it in like one line, if your
True.
application starts in August, they're getting up in July, or sometimes in August for that matter. It happens. Recommendation letter requests come in 1 week prior to the deadline, in spite of maybe counselors informing students like from months in advance. So
True.
while we can draft something, I think the quality is more important, not just submitting something for the sake of it. So if students are not planned, teachers are in a jeopardy that what do we do? How can we quickly just write something? Because it has to be catering to the student, right? It has to be individual, it has to be more specific, more personalized. So those kind of things, I think, when you have to gather your mark sheets, which reminds me, if a student is shifting from one school to another, they don't remember that the ninth class mark sheets are equally important for US. They just say that I have the 10th class and yeah, 11th and 12th we are here. And if you ask them where's the ninth, I've got answers as weird as I've lost it. And I'm like, how can you lose a mark sheet? I personally have my report cards from nursery till now. Priyanka, can you show me your nursery report card? I can bring and give it to you within the minute because I know it that well where I have kept it. But kids are very relaxed in that manner. Like, yeah, I've lost it. And I'm like, but we need it. Okay, I'll get it. But the seriousness of knowing, okay, I need to have these. I need to make sure that I have them before the school opens. So I can give it to the counselor. The paperwork can be done. So I think that seriousness is also something which is missing. There are a lot more points that I can go on this topic because these are challenges which I think they don't realize it is a challenge. But when the fire is there, they then realize the challenge.
Throughout the year, there is a thing that admissions will happen. If not here, then there. If not here, then there. And
Correct.
then I also feel one of the major ideas of students that I've seen now is they saying that, if nowhere, then India still remains as an option. Even though this is the trend, I have still found students who are very focused from the start, from grade 9th onwards, building their profile that yes, I need to go for an Ivy League college. They are doing summer internships and they are doing that. So I think that's always a trend that would go from generation to generation. And that is something as counselors we can always debate upon because year on year we would always be getting a category of mixed students, right? Moving further, now that you have done the exploration, you have helped students with financial considerations, the scholarships, grants, and a lot more. Can you tell me a typical application process? Like, walk me through an entire process for an Indian student who is applying to foreign universities.
So before that, I would still like to put in a word or a sentence of praise to all those students who are very proactive, who are well planned in advance, because it makes the life of a counselor, a teacher, a parent as well slightly smoother in the entire journey of applying.
Yes.
So I've had parents who've also told me that, oh, we've experienced it with the first one. So now we know with the second one, we are much more well planned. So for those
Yeah.
kind of parents and for those kind of students who are well planned, I think they deserve a special clap or a pat on the back, whatever right
Absolutely.
you would say it.
Absolutely.
They deserve it. And hopefully the ones who are getting up late start planning in advance and they also reach that phase where they don't miss out on opportunities. So the idea is not to belittle them by saying, oh, you start late, but it's also to make them realize, I think, of the fact
True.
that you miss out on opportunities when you're late. You apply late, we'll do our work. We are here to do it.
Yeah.
But the kind
True.
of opportunities that you miss, I think that is something I want to emphasize, that we're not being mean to you that you're applying late,
Yeah.
but it's just that you miss out on scholarships for that matter, because the funding is available in bulk at the earlier rounds. They give it out. By the time you apply late, it's over. That's what I've heard from university reps as well. Now moving on to your question, which was about the application process. So I think let me keep it as generic as possible and then add in countries. The first step is that a student should start planning as early as grade 11, if not before, and start researching on the kind of course you want to study, followed by the country options, and keep a checklist in terms of what are the finances involved, because that's the most important thing. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
leave your degree midway and come back if there's a financial issue. Plan your finances pretty well. Cater in the fact that if you don't get a scholarship, you can still complete the degree. That is very important. And
True.
also, have that emergency funding which is required. If there's any, mishaps or any emergency, you have like a pool of money sitting there. So that's very important. Research your course country, plan your finances accordingly. Once you're done with that, start looking at the kind of universities you want to apply to. And when I say look at the universities, don't just go by the rankings, but also look at the kind of programs they offer, the programs they're popular for. How is University A different from University B? Do they have research opportunities if you're interested in? Do they offer a year in the industry if you're looking for work experience? So, what are the kind of USPs of the university or
Mm-hmm.
the program program you're looking to. That is very important. Followed
Okay.
by then just do a bit of homework on the kind of test. So if you want to apply for law in the UK, there are around 8 universities which need the LNAT score.
Else.
So do your homework that, okay, if I'm applying to these five, do I need to appear for the LNAT or is it not required? So do that planning, SATs, IELTS. Post that, gather the documents you need to apply to. Your mark sheet, passports, make sure they're valid, renewed. These are important things which I think students sometimes miss out on, and they realize it when they're going for the visa application. Deadlines are very important. So for any university you're applying to, make sure you have looked at the deadlines, early, rolling, EDs, EAs, regular decisions, whichever it is, make sure you know what they mean. Are they binding in nature and you are making the right choice? Apply on time, submit the application fee, because submitting an application doesn't mean just click on submit, but you also need to pay the fee part. So when students sometimes apply through Common App, they get confused that submit I've done, but where the fee wasn't asked. So there's a next step to go and pay the fee specifically. So these are small things sometimes they overlook, which is very important. And the next thing is keep the school counselor in loop, because across I think 95% of the schools or 99% of the schools, all documents, mark sheets, recommendation letters, predicted grades are all sent by the school counselor, the career counselor, the
Yeah.
college advisor, whatever you term them. It goes from in-house, right? So keep them in the loop so that they know that you're applying here. This is your deadline. They make sure everything is ready beforehand. That's very important. Once you submit your application, track the status, because what happens is if there's anything missing, or if there's something that the university hasn't received, they will send you an email about it, and they will
Okay.
give you a timeline by when you need to submit it. Now, if you don't check your email and track it, you miss the deadline, then your application is disqualified, or it's not eligible, they don't consider it, etc. So track it, keep your counselor informed that this requirement has come in, please submit it, etc. Look out for the decisions. Sometimes it happens when you apply early, you don't get rejected, but you might get deferred. So you need to confirm back, do you want to be considered in the deferred round along with the other applicants? That is an important thing. So you need to make sure of that. Once you hear back everything, looking at your accommodation options are very important, because if you leave them for the last minute, you're not going to get on campus accommodation. Then that might be a bit of a concern from the parental perspective as well. However, most universities do say that first year students have to stay on campus, but nevertheless, it's good to just apply early for accommodation. There are a bunch of forms around it. You sometimes get the option to pick your room partner. So if you know
Yeah.
two of you from the same school are going, you can also
Going.
fill in that as an option, and they do
Yeah.
consider it, they do ask for it. They ask you your preferences, the kind of people, your likes, hobbies. Then you have the visa processing that differs from country to country, but somewhere you pay a deposit, somewhere you pay a term fee, you get a document. It's either the CAS or it is the I-20 or whichever other country have their student pass for Singapore. So you get it, file the visa well in advance, make sure you have all the documents required, financial documents, bank statements, letters,
Yep.
etc. Get the visa, book your flights, have your insurance, gather all the things you need, whether you want to buy your laptops here, you want to buy it there, whatever else you think you might want to carry for the first year. Pack everything, attend some pre-departure orientations, get an idea, a vibe, a feel of the place you're going to. Sometimes the university also connects you with seniors there,
Alumni. Yeah.
like a buddy system, I would say, like somebody in
Mm-hmm.
second
Yeah.
year,
Student buddy. Yeah.
so wherein you get comfortable. It may be from the same department, major, country, different
Mm-hmm.
criteria. So you are also getting accustomed to the place you're going to. Student portals, you'll have your online timetables for some universities. You can pick and map your classes. Do that, fly to the university, settle down, attend the orientation, and I think pretty much then you're done.
So you took me through the entire process. It sounds tedious, but yes, I'm happy that there are counselors in every school nowadays and all the stakeholders who are helping the student to complete that entire process, support them through their journey, which is an amazing thing. And now that there's a lot of awareness programs, there's a lot of university fairs that the school conducts so that the students are aware about different universities, different offerings, and they are helping students to know more about a destination, more about a university, even before they've applied there. That also helps with the application journey because it becomes quite simpler. Now that you have helped the students to apply, what is the trend that you foresee in the international education, Indian students specifically in the next few years? And what would be the top courses, top destinations, as per your understanding?
In terms of countries, there are a lot of countries which are picking up slowly. Specifically, if I look at places like Ireland, a bit of the European regions. In fact, today I had a student who came into me and said that she was looking to apply to France. And I just looked back at her and I'm like, are you applying to France? And she's like, yeah, it's like so and so program. And I was like, good, but is France like your only option? Like, as a counselor, sometimes even you are, taken aback by the kind of
Yeah.
choices. And then my next
Yeah.
question is like, your parents are good with it, like they know, are they supportive of it, and what are their thoughts? And she's like, yeah, they're all good. And I'm looking at France countries, yes, they are slowly picking up. And as counselors, we also need to work on equipping ourselves with knowledge
Yes.
about different countries, because right now, at least down south, it's still like the US UK trend, and Canada, a bit of Singapore, but even countries like Hong Kong for that matter offer really good scholarship.
They
There's
do.
always a mix between the students. Should I not? But yeah, from a financial perspective, degrees are also quite known, good quality. Universities are ranked for those who are worried about the ranking. So there are countries, and in terms of courses, I think a lot of universities these days are offering a lot of specialized programs which weren't there earlier. Like, for example, earlier we just had generic, say, a computer science major, and then at the
Yeah.
masters you data science, cloud computing, AI, robotics.
Yes. Yes.
Now, a lot of universities are also, I think, catching up with the trend that students are looking for specialized courses and are either initiating them or offering them, or if not as a direct major at the undergrad level, they're giving it as an elective or a minor for students
True.
to pick up. So I do see
True.
that there are universities which are looking at, say, a bachelor's in artificial intelligence along with robotics, or mechatronics with AI, a different bunch of combinations. And I think that's only going to keep growing in different fields along with it, like business, say sports management. I've been seeing kids have increasingly been asking about programs like that, hospital management, for instance. And these weren't things which existed earlier. I think also universities are slowly moving into the option to offer students the opportunity to start looking at research from an undergraduate level, which wasn't the case earlier. So there were a bunch of universities who happened to drop by, and we were talking about the USPs of their institutions, the kind of programs they offer. And it was pretty nice to see that a lot of them have started offering research for students right from year one at undergrad, which is not something
Yeah.
which is commonly found in a lot of places. These are the kind of trends or changes which are going to be happening, are happening in fact right now as well, and they will slowly be picking up pace.
Adding to it, one more thing that I had in mind is there were a lot of increase that we have seen recently for sports management, sports sciences, like you said, as a course which is now piqued a new interest among students. Initially, we just had King's College London, where you got a sports aid, like a sports quota kind of a thing, just like some of the Indian universities had it. That was something that would help students get a sports scholarship, specifically if they're good with cricket and some specific sports, right? Now, what do you think, has that sports aid, specifically as an aid, grown in the international market, if not just sports, but in general? How important has extracurricular activities become for an international admission?
Extracurricular activities and somehow show the skill sets of a student who might
Mm-hmm.
otherwise not be academically bright. Because when you
Yeah.
look to joining an institution, it is not only about how you can contribute in terms of academics, but it's also the other kind of contributions you make to the student community. Whether you are participating in sports by being a member of the sports activities or clubs or the games that they have, or it is
Yes.
a part of any literary clubs that they have,
Mm-hmm.
right? It can be anything to do with starting up a student community also in campus. It can
Yeah.
also be anything to doing with that you're really good in gaming, and the school or the university has a gaming club wherein you have
Mm-hmm.
players who play these inter-university matches or intra-university matches, and they have teams, clubs, societies, and they actually are on a very serious level. So I think
Yeah.
when a student participates in these kind of activities at a school level as well, it helps them to also, not only from the admission perspective, show that they're an all-rounder, but also actually be able to contribute when they're there, make a new set of friends because you're in a
Yeah.
different class. You're a little outside of your comfort zone of hanging out with the same community because you get to mingle with students from other backgrounds. And I think that will also give you a sense of being or a place at the university where you have also found something that is unique to you. You are also making a place for yourself amongst the thousand other students who are there. It's good to
Got
give
it.
back to the community. Don't just do an
Absolutely.
for the sake of doing it to tick a box in your application checklist, I would say.
Absolutely. I also feel like, just like you said, that, students tend to be in their comfort zone with their own set of friends or ethnic people. That is one of the reasons also is India being a very vast country and with a good number of languages here. Children have a comfort level with their own local languages and the friends who speak that, right? And they tend to build those small communities within themselves even when they go
Yeah.
overseas. A lot of universities I have heard now who are having student buddies and who are having intercultural groups so that students blend in and not just
Yeah.
stay within their own teams also. You've been a counselor for so many years now and you have sent good number of students overseas and even in India, and you have helped them throughout their journey. Could you share any of the success stories or some personal anecdotes that you have about students whom you have helped and they still are on the top of your mind because of something that they did or didn't do, and they haven't benefited today from studying abroad? If you can take me through that process.
One which comes to my mind was a little early on in my career, but it still sticks to my mind to this day. Is one, because of the rapport I had with the student as a counselor. It wasn't just a mere counselor and a student relation, but it was also like on friendly terms, in the sense that he
Okay.
would like there to tell me that, oh, this happened in my day. Asha, मेरे को engineering करना है, but I'm not sure if I will be applying abroad. My parents are not very supportive, but I think I can get into a good university. So what do you suggest? So it was more like, on casual terms, maybe where I was like advising a friend of mine or like
Got
a
it.
sibling. So he would always like refer to me as Didi, sister. So it was never like a ma'am, and like a student thing. It was more like, a little personal bond also, because coincidentally we happened to study in the same school while I was in Dubai. He also did study there. So I think that's where we formed a bond and it just continued. So moving on, then the kid wanted to apply to UK. Parents weren't so sure, keeping in mind the financial aspect of it, of course. And nevertheless, I did have a conversation. We did come to the decision that eventually let him apply. It's just the application fees which is going. Anyway, you apply to 5 in UK. Let us do it. Let him write the Indian set of tests which are there. Let us see
Yeah.
what happens after he gets his offers from here and there and what we do. So then we did that. We went ahead with the plan. The kid applied to a bunch of universities and he got back a few offers and stuff. And in the meanwhile, the kid also had an uncle who was staying in London. So
Okay.
the father, I'm not sure if it's like own uncle, cousins, whatever, but there was some relative there. So the parent got in touch with the relative, and they were like, so he's very keen on applying. We've done this. What do we do? He's persistent. So the uncle said, it's okay, let him come and stay with me. That way, your living part is sorted. You have to just figure out about the tuition and bank loans, etc., whatever. And eventually, the kid went to King's College London for a computer science major. And I think he did do a 1 year work in the industry option. So it was a 3 year study with a 1 year work, and he did extremely well in that time. Wherein the 1 year where he actually worked, we were pretty impressed with what he contributed to the organization. And even
Amazing.
before he finished his degree, he went back for the 4th year, he already had a job placement offer in hand.
That's nice.
He just had to go back, finish his degree, and then he joined there. And from there, he's moved places now. He's doing really good for himself. And I think this wouldn't have happened probably if the kid wasn't very motivated to give it a try. The
Yeah.
parents weren't okay with the fact. He can let him apply and see, let us see what happens after that. And I think a little bit of coordination from the counselor in terms of the student parent expectation, trying to
Yeah.
find a
Yeah.
not to boast, but I think as counselors, sometimes we do come across such situations where the parent wants something, the kid wants to do something. Obviously, we can't take sides,
Yeah.
and we have to put across like common ground for both the parties involved. If we are able to do that successfully, and both the parties, that is the parent and the student, see the side of each other's stories, it will definitely work well for everyone involved. This is one thing that is pretty much close to my heart, even after so many years. Yeah, he's doing pretty well for himself, and someone who thought he might end up studying in India ended up going abroad. So I think that is definitely something that you should dream about.
Absolutely. In fact, are you still in touch with him? Like, he studied abroad, he's working abroad,
Yeah,
he's just
yeah,
traveling.
we are on LinkedIn with each other, but
Okay.
we also follow each other on Instagram. So there are
That's nice.
messages
That's
like,
nice.
"Hi, where are you? I'm coming here. I'll be in India." Wishing each other on occasions. So that still happens.
That's amazing because having a bond for this long with the student who has passed school, passed their college, and is on their professional journey, but still in touch with the counselor. Adding to it, I also feel just like you said, like a counselor tries to bring in like a common ground between the parent and the student to see neutrally what best can be done for both of them without holding sides. I also feel this happens in a way when the counselor is trusted by the student and the parent as well, that we are not going to do any harm to your child, but yeah, we are there to support you and bring in more options that aligns to your expectations and making your dream come true. And I feel, yes, nowadays the students are more open towards an idea of a counselor and has started approaching. Like if you see in the last few years, the trend has changed with students coming upfront and approaching counselors for help. Like, this
Correct.
is what we have researched, this is what we're trying to research. Now help us out with it. So
Yeah.
yes, that's one of the growth that we see in the life of a career counselor and in the industry by itself, where
Yeah.
students are more welcoming, schools are more welcoming. In fact, thank you for the national education policy that came in place where counselors became a mandate kind of a part within the school team, and that has helped build the school ecosystem in a way that where students are benefited at the end. Finally, before we conclude, what is a key message you would like to leave to all our young listeners who are considering studying abroad?
I would like to say that if you get the opportunity, if you are presented with the opportunity, embrace it, take it up, try to expand your horizons, and it'll help you to grow both personally and professionally. Studying abroad not only offers you a chance to learn about new cultures, gain global perspectives, develop certain skill sets, it also helps to broaden your view of the world. Apart from where
Yeah.
you are living, what else is happening outside of those boundaries or those borders or those regions? It helps you to also build connections, which some of them might last lifelong and they're there for you. The friendships which you sometimes forge in university, in high school, in college end up lasting much more longer than any other relations from elsewhere in your workplace or multiple companies you might end up changing eventually. Every student, I would say, has a unique experience, whether they want to apply abroad, whether they choose to stay back here. How you choose to embrace that opportunity, how you approach it, and how you try to learn from what is thrown at you will shape your life and will shape your future. So if you do apply internationally, you do end up joining a university internationally, it is going to be one of the most transformative experiences of your life.
I think the conclusion, based on what you have said as well, and what you have previously been trying to bring it as an highlight to the young listeners out there, I feel is they need to research, they need to have a path, they need to start the process now, have a destination in mind, reach out to their counselor, start working on their progress, and then make it to the university. And also, irrespective to the curriculum that they're following, irrespective to the major that they're going to pursue, everything is going to shape them up academically, personally, professionally, and I would say socially also. And it's going to be a good way for them to grow. And I also feel one more thing as a counselor that you emphasized, and even I as a counselor has faced it. And I feel that it should be a thing that we can emphasize to the young listeners is do not procrastinate, do not wait for tomorrow, do not wait for August to come in or November to come in. Start today, start your application process. And the major thing is once you go overseas or once you go to any university for that matter, blend in, blend into that culture, blend into that academic system, blend into that community, and make a difference, create something. So
Yeah.
thank you, Priyanka, thank you once again, thank you for taking out time, joining us today, and sharing such valuable insights to our listeners out there. And to my listeners out there, thank you for tuning in. We hope this episode has provided you with useful information. And ICAE has more updates. Follow us, and we'll support you with your educational journey. Reach out to your counselors. Stay tuned for more episodes of Beyond Borders Higher Ed Edition. Until next time, this is Anne Gracious signing off. Have a great day.